because I supposed to be actually in KZN this week from today as part of the ad hoc committee on disaster relief and recovery. But also because I have an appointment with the eye specialist, I couldn't go. I know one of the issues that is addressed as part of intervention is also on the floods, the impact of floods in KZN, Eastern Cape and Northwest. So it gives an impression, therefore, that every time there's a disaster, small businesses will be affected. To what extent are you then planning to address, one, the issue that you're raising of capacity challenges, but also the resources? For example, with regard to Indora, already there is money that is set aside for emergencies and disasters towards the provinces and municipalities. If there's a problem around housing, disaster around housing, disaster in provinces, there are monies that are set aside. If you remember, the president was saying, after talking to the Minister of Finance, that there was a total of 1 billion that is made up of these emergency funds. I don't know if part of the planning, we should not be planning around having such contingency funds that will be there, because it's clear that from time to time, disasters will affect the small business sector, so that it addresses those issues that you're highlighting around the issues of capacity. I think on the issue of co-ops, I think we will need to have another meeting so that we get clearly what these challenges are, but also perhaps invite the one that you, I think, would say Amadlel, so that they can also share with us the best practice in terms of how they are being successful in running the co-op in the Eastern Cape. Thank you so much. I think what we'll do, I know there were issues that were referred to the ministry, but I will also ask the managers to respond to those, and then the DM will make final comments also on the issue that would be responded to by the executive, the managers. So I will then hand over to the CEO of SEDA, followed by CEO of SEFA, the DG, and then the DM will make concluding remarks.
Thank you, Chair. I would try to respond from politics. I also have a flu, so my voice keeps going. But I wanted to, maybe the DG will cover the issues of the working together of the department of government and our clients, as well as private sector, as far as markets are concerned, because that's a serious policy issue, and it's a serious intervention that the department is working on. But my input is that definitely there needs to be a coordinated effort in terms of making sure that the clients that produce products in local municipalities, do get the opportunity to supply in those municipalities, as well as to the private sector that comes into the business space in that area. And from where I'm sitting, those should be, especially with the private sector and government, those should be non-negotiables. And as a department, I know there's work that is being done to reduce that red tape, and the DG will come in on I'm not delegating upward, but I want to talk about that space as the department is consolidating. But it is important that that gap is closed, so that all the clients that are funded are able to then gain access to the market. This point came up, Chair, even in various roadshows that we attended with the minister, where it was clear that the locals don't get opportunities to supply to the private sector, but there was also a bigger discussion that talks to how do we make sure then that even the locals get to open these opportunities, that it not be the likes of Shoprite and USAFE. And that's a big conversation that we must have, because if we want to see small businesses growing in the township, especially those who are in the property space and the retail space, we need to have a different plan and a different policy direction around that. We definitely take the point on the Northern Cape, Honorable Matabula. I think was it your question? I think so. And if I'm correctly, I apologize. But we will definitely look into the Northern Cape in terms of the dissatisfaction. Would like to engage more and see how we can improve in that space. I think we'll in the next session, when the chair says we need to do co-ops, we need to then bring the stats of cooperatives in the various provinces that we have assisted, that are still operational, so that then maybe that conversation can take place. So I will ask also just to respond, who is responsible for the provinces, respond on the issue of what we're doing around the issues of youth as soon as I'm done in the various provinces. There was also an issue around load shedding. It's a big concern. I know that from a SEDA point of view, we are funding in that space via our technology transfer program. And we have some of the clients that we've assisted, but the budget is very limited. It's a serious concern, because the performance of these businesses, even through the loans and SEFA loans, really depends on continuity and sustainability. I know that SEFA does provide generators now with their loans, so that these clients can continue to work. But there's a case of the previously clients who were on the system already, which needs a serious budget from a grant point of view, and is something that the department we need to look at as a portfolio and see if money could be provided, because it can't be debt, because the entities are also struggling from a debt repayment point of view. So we need to make sure that those grants do come in. But from ourselves, we use the technological transfer budget to try and address those where our clients apply and we're able to buy them that equipment, but it's very limited, the budget. We took note of the provincial breakdown in terms of the sheet rates. That information can be provided. What we have done so far on the sheet rates is that we've listed these entities, and we are currently assessing their readiness so that we can be able to put the interventions into place that they would need to get into that market. But that information is definitely available in terms of provinces. We have explored the idea of using graduates, especially on the KZN floods disaster that we are running a SEDA, a disaster intervention that we're running a SEDA. We did employ over 50 graduates in the different spaces in different municipalities to try and assist the applicants to fill in the forms. And we've seen that works better for us in terms of us trying to expand because we all have limited skills. So we've been using that method, and I think it works well. It worked well in KZN and in the Cape. So we look at making sure that is expanded. Obviously, we need to make sure that the budget is clear for that, but it has worked for the KZN floods relief intervention that we are running as SEDA. There was also a comment, Chair, that you made, I think, around the ecosystem facilitation model, which obviously is linked to the district development model that we have as a country. It links back to the first question that was raised by Honorable Matebula, regarding how do we get all the stakeholders to participate and to be in one space so that we know who's doing what and what opportunities are there for the SMMEs. SEDA is doing a lot of work around that currently in terms of bringing, we've profiled the partners. We're working on value propositions for different partners in different spaces. That is coupled with, that should be coupled with the system that will bring all these partners together. So there is work that is being done, even at an early age, probably about 30 to 40%, but we are moving with speed in terms of this. So by this time next year, we would have a working a model in terms of making sure that all partners from the DFIs to private sector to government have a place to meet, and we're clear what is it that we're looking for on behalf of the SMME. I think probably I would leave it there, Chair, in terms of what I needed to just come in on, and maybe the next CEO can come in, Mr. Machamba, through your permission, Chair, if there's anything. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Macham.
Thank you, Chairperson, and Minister and Deputy Minister, including the honorable members. I think a number of questions, really, my colleague, Mr. Mbatha, has covered them, except to just say briefly on the issue of the lessons learned from the UIF COVID intervention. Yes, it's correct, honorable member. We experienced exactly the same problems as our colleagues in the UIF. And also, we were also implementing the COVID relief program. So those lessons we took forward when we were dealing with the, what we call the violence affected, particularly informal businesses that were affected by the violence. Hence, we said the only way that we can prove the authenticity of an informal trader is by at least getting a police affidavit. And then obviously the South African ID. That is really, and also the support from the association that they belong to. And if they are also having a permit from the municipality, that is how far really you could, because remember, these numbers are going to be audited. You need to be able to try to tell the AG that this is the process that we followed to satisfy ourselves that yes, indeed, this informal trader was a trader at the time. So we did took those lessons forward. And also what is important, Chair, is what I said in my first presentation, that what is critical, we need to find a way and speed up the process of formalizing these informal businesses without really criminalizing them when they don't have a trading permit. I think we need to find a way to formalize them, because it will really assist us as government, particularly the public entities that are disbursing taxpayers' money, to be able to be really judicious in how we actually disperse these monies. The issue of generators, you know, it's one thing to have a generator. I'm sure we've heard about the billions that Eskom burns when they use generators in diesel. Diesel is very expensive for a business, and it's really not sustainable for our SMMEs. We do buy the generators, but we can see that the cost of diesel is actually squeezing their cash flows. I think, to me, we need a bigger intervention, particularly the program that was announced by government, where we provide an energy support mechanism that is subsidized for businesses. For example, if they were to have a solar system that is backed by batteries, and also access to gas, because most of the businesses, they use gas to cook, but the refrigerators, they do need electricity. I mean, one of the traders was telling me that, Chief, if electricity goes and my ice cream melts, it's gone. You can't refreeze ice cream. That's it, you know. So we need those broader interventions that are sustainable. To me, I think a combination of solar with batteries and access to gas would be much more affordable and sustainable for SMMEs. But the Energy Department or the Treasury may have to come in there to subsidize, because they come quite expensive, those interventions. The localization element from Honorable Dango. We have this program, Chair, that we're rolling out, which is one of the most popular ones. The small manufacturing support program, which really drives that element of localization. And is one of those that really the department has funded it. And every time we run out of funds and go back to the department, we do get the support that we need, because it's quite a popular one. And I'm happy because it speaks really to that issue of manufacturing, which drives and informs localization practically. And that's a space within which we play. But coming to the issue of providing market access for the SMMEs, this model that we want to introduce of an aggregator, as I mentioned, Chairperson and honorable members, the key issue there is for the aggregator, whether they are an economist or an agronomist, to provide the technical support on how to run these farms. One. Two, to provide governance structures to ensure that these co-ops are run like businesses, not like a Masingabane type of thing. And thirdly, to negotiate with the retail off-takers in these areas where they operate, to provide off-takes to these to these entities. Because really, for anybody, even if you want to think about exporting, you first need to test and prove your product in your domestic market. And to us, that relationship with the retailers and other off-takers is critical for the SMME's sustainability. The issue, I think, Mbata spoke about